What's up guys, Steven here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about the smartphone with the best camera in the world, the Huawei P60 Pro. The Huawei P60 Pro is the current queen of smartphone photography, but there is much more than just great pictures. Huawei developed a brand new design concept for the P60 Pro. There is a black version and the one I have, a white Rococo Pearl version. Mineral pearl powder was added to the back panel of the smartphone and left to agglomerate into luster, achieving a one-of-a-kind mother-of-pearl texture. This makes every Huawei P60 Pro in Rococo Pearl uniquely different from each other. It comes also with a beautiful 6.67-inch LTPO OLED display with 120Hz adaptive refresh rate and 1440Hz high-frequency PWM dimming. It's a true flagship display with its support for P3 wide color gamut and HDR10+ content. The display is as usual top quality, even TUV certified, with great viewing angles and color reproduction. The display is also protected by Huawei's own in-house quad curved Kunlun glass that's resistant to drops and nicks, just like on the Mate 50 Pro. The base of the phone features a USB-C 3.1 port for charging, a grill for one of the two speakers that form a stereo pair, a dual nano SIM card slot, and of course it comes with IP68 rating and weighs around 200 grams. There's also an in-display fingerprint scanner that works reliable and fast, and it's also well placed. Of course, also face unlock is possible, and now supported on Huawei P60 Pros, users can unlock their phones with face recognition even while wearing a mask. The phone also supports 88-watt charging, and Huawei even includes an 88-watt adapter with USB-A and USB-C. Now that's something new. Also, if you press on the screen during charging, it will trigger the turbocharging mode, so it can be charged from 0 to 50% in just 10 minutes if you need a quick rechoose. The capacity of the battery is 4815 mAh, which personally for me easily lasted heavy use days, and of course the phone also supports wireless charging with even up to 50 watts. Just like the Huawei Mate 50 Pro, the P60 Pro uses a 4G only version of the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. Now while it's limited to 4G, the P60 Pro does have the ability to send and receive text messages via the Baidu satellite, even without a ground signal. But right now this feature is limited to China. Then also, just like the Mate 50 Pro, it doesn't come with the Google services installed, but there is a third-party solution called Gbox, which is available in the Huawei app gallery. Now Huawei has made some great effort in terms of software and has for the most part made getting apps for the platform incredibly easy. I will show you exactly how this works a bit later on in this video. The P60 Pro features a triple rear camera setup. The large one in the middle is a 48 megapixel RYYB camera that has optical image stabilization and a variable aperture system similar to the Mate 50 Pro. This allows the P60 Pro to switch from f1.4 to f4.0 aperture on the fly and lets you take absolutely stunning bokeh shots optically instead of relying on software tricks just like other phones. Next to the main camera is a 48 megapixel telephoto camera with optical image stabilization and a 3.5x optical zoom, which is 90mm focal length equivalent. And on top of that, it features a bright f2.1 aperture, the widest I've ever seen on a smartphone telephoto camera. And then there's also a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture. Selfies are taken care of by a 13 megapixel shooter. Now tying everything together is Huawei's X-Mage imaging technology. It's what gave the Mate 50 Pro its stellar imaging technology, and it's even better on the P60 Pro. The main camera, as expected, shoots incredibly detailed pictures with high dynamic range in both good and low lighting conditions. Also there's RAW support in Pro mode. Now I think we could talk now 30 minutes about the camera, but let's sum it up to what impressed me the most. While it's questionable that you would ever need a 100x digital zoom, the 3.5x optical zoom doubles as a macro camera that allows you to pull off the best macro shots I've ever seen on a smartphone. Extremely detailed and sharp, and the colors are on point. But just in case you really need the 100x zoom, you will also not be disappointed. Even after 3.5x, it looks absolutely lossless. 10x images still look incredible, and even after going further, it still brings out details you can't see with your eyes. The variable aperture maybe sounds a bit gimmicky, but if you're into photography, you will see, love and understand what this phone can do. It really captured the best looking bokeh shots I've ever seen on a smartphone. But also if you switch to software mode and choose even lower aperture, it still looks incredibly good. Now I've tested it out on people, on objects, and also on this tricky Pokemon figure, and the results speak for themselves. Also, Huawei knows how to pull off convincing low-light images without looking fake or overprocessed. And the P60 Pro continues that tradition with one of the best night mode settings I've seen on a phone. Also, the zoom in low light was something I absolutely didn't expect. Any other phone would have washed out those LED signs. That's because the telephoto camera comes with a bright f2.1 aperture and also the HUAWEI sensor, which produces results never seen on a smartphone in low light. The front-facing camera is also incredibly wide, which is for me the best feature, so you can easily get the whole scene on the picture and also plenty of people. And of course the pictures from the front camera look also really good. Now when it comes to video, it's really great to see that Huawei has stepped up the game to also provide great videos. There is 4K recording on the front and back, but 4K is not available for the wide-angle camera. This is the only thing I miss on the phone, as I shoot a lot of 4K 60 with my phone and also use the wide-angle camera a lot. Other than that, the videos are really great even in low light. I tried it out in my room, it's full of LEDs because it's a gaming room, and a lot of phones just struggle in those conditions. But the P60 Pro handled it really well, just like the Mate 50 Pro when I did my other review. Also the front camera takes really good videos, and it's just like made for vlogs, as it's very wide, supports 4K 60, and the color reproduction is also good. Now here is a quick sample. So guys, here's a quick front-facing camera test on the Huawei P60 Pro, and what I really love about it is the wide-angle mode. So there is a 0.x mode, a 1x mode of course, and the wide mode. With that you can get everything in the picture. But even in this crazy wide-angle mode, as you can see, there is no distortion, it's very smooth, the color reproduction is nice, so this phone is really perfect for vlogs. So guys, I think after you saw this, you know why I started this review with calling the P60 Pro the queen of smartphone photography. Now talking about the performance, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 together with 8GB of RAM is quite powerful and runs all of the latest graphic intense games really well. Now I've downloaded Genshin Impact, which is a pretty graphic intense game and could play easily with consistent frame rate. So smartphone gaming on the P60 Pro is also no problem at all. The software, EMUI 13.1, is also quite smooth, and thanks to the 120Hz display, it's really a pleasure to use it. And it supports also multi-window and is very customizable. So guys, let's have a closer look at EMUI and also how to install apps on the smartphone. So this is the new Huawei P60 Pro, and now it's time for a quick hands-on experience to show you how this device feels and also how to install apps on the smartphone. Well, first of all, the P60 Pro is running the latest version of EMUI, which is currently 13.1, and there are plenty of changes, design changes, but also the camera interface has been changed a little bit and many other things. EMUI is also right now very customizable, so Huawei has its own theme store integrated, where you can find plenty of nice themes with icon packs. So to change the whole look of your smartphone, I also really like that the live wallpapers are integrated, and as you can see, live wallpapers together with that beautiful screen, it just looks stunning. And if you get ever bored of your phone, you can just change the look of it with a simple click. Then let's check out the always on display, because here also Huawei has really implemented a lot of design changes. Now Huawei has also overworked the whole transitions and everything is much more smooth and beautiful. Also the always on displays, we have plenty of new features here. We have several themes for the always on display, also a 3D always on display for the weather, and it's also very customizable. So for instance here this uses your display background, you can adjust it, adjust several colors, and the whole transition from switching here to the always on display or just going back is simply amazing. It's very smooth. And here in the settings you have the option to switch to a smart screen resolution, which also adjusts the screen resolution depending on the content you're consuming, and also the screen refresh rate dynamic. So it uses the 120Hz if needed, and if not, if you're just in a menu, it uses a lower refresh rate to extend the battery life. Now EMUI is very clean, beautiful and smooth, but how to get apps? Well, we discussed this in several videos, but today I'll show you my go-to solution. Now, first of all, you should check if the app you want to install is in the Huawei App Gallery. So this is basically the main source. And the Huawei App Gallery is improving from every video to every video I make. I see more apps in the App Gallery. It's a growing ecosystem, and most of the apps I use are actually already in the App Gallery. But if there are some apps which you cannot find in the Huawei app gallery, you can, for instance, install that over a third party like APK Pure. There you can download the APK. Now Huawei has also a security system in place which checks all the APKs, so you're not installing any threats on the device or any malware, and it's actually really safe to download from APK Pure. But if you want to use Google services, my go-to solution is right now Gbox. So in my last videos I showed you Gspace, which was a third-party application, and with that you could use Google services on a Huawei smartphone. However, Gspace was full of ads, you had to get a VIP membership, and it was just a pain to use. Now there's a solution that's called Gbox, and actually Gbox is not something new. It has been around for a longer time. It's not exclusively for Huawei devices, it's basically for plenty of devices where you cannot run Google mobile services, and Gbox is available in the Huawei app gallery. So if you search in the app gallery for Gbox, you can directly download it, so it's 100% safe. And it uses a VM, of course, to get Google services on the device, but it smoothly integrates into EMUI. And Gbox even creates shortcuts on your home screen. As you can see, there's a little tiny box with a G inside, which means this app actually relies on Gbox. It will open up the VM to run the application. However, even though it uses Gbox, the apps run really flawlessly, so there's no stuttering or something. The performance of the P60 Pro is really good and it's fast enough to run everything you want to in Gbox. But how does Gbox work? Now, first of all, when you open it up, you will see the recommended apps. So here you can see some apps which are basically the most used one, which you can download directly here. However, some people said, I cannot find some applications here in Gbox, and how to get other apps? Well, there is a simple workaround. For instance, you open up any third-party application like Twitter, then it will open up here in the Google Play Store already. But if you press then on the publisher name, you will get a search. And in the search now, you can type in any app you want to. For instance, I wanted to download Genshin Impact, which is a pretty cool game. And as you can see, you can search it here in the search, go to install, and it will install it. And the same goes for the other applications. Also, it's fully working here. You can see similar apps and browse yourself like this through the Google Play Store and download anything you want to. And everything here is working flawlessly. So I've installed Netflix, which is loading up and is working, can log in, can watch videos. Then also YouTube is working, even with the login. Everything works fine, as you can see. So you have also your own channel. The same goes also for YouTube Studio, so you can log in with business accounts. Google Maps is also working fine, so as you can see, it looks pretty much like it would be installed directly in the system, even though it's using Gbox. And also all the other applications I've tried out so far are working fine, so this is a really good workaround if you want to use some applications that either need Google mobile services or are not available in the Huawei app gallery. However, guys, the first thing should always be to check if it's in the Huawei app gallery, because this is the easiest solution how to install something. And for me, I'm living in Austria and almost all the local apps already in the Huawei app gallery. So Huawei has also departments in every country that work really hard to bring all the local apps you're using to the Huawei app gallery. And I don't think it will take so much more time until we see everything we want to use in there and we don't need solutions like Gbox anymore. So guys, that's basically it. That was a quick user experience, what's new and how to install apps on the smartphone. And now let's come to my final conclusion about the P60 Pro. Well guys, we're now here at the end of this video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, and testing the P60 Pro for me was really interesting and a unique experience. Now talking about unique, now every P60 Pro, as mentioned before, is looking slightly different, which really makes your phone unique. And it's just so crazy, after all of that happened to Huawei, Huawei still pushes out great devices, puts a lot of R&D into their devices. We're talking about new materials, variable aperture, and simply the best camera in a smartphone. You guys have seen the pictures, you can check out DxO Mark. So this camera for taking pictures is absolutely incredible. Now, some people are still worried about apps on Huawei devices, but there's actually nothing to be worried about. As I've shown you before, there are multiple ways on how to install your favorite apps. The app gallery is also growing, the whole Huawei ecosystem is growing, and also with Gbox you can easily get access to all the Google applications. Now, if you have any questions about the Huawei P60 Pro, I'm here to answer those questions, so make sure you write them down below in the comments. And as always guys, big thanks for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Have a nice day and bye.